I have always believed that a father knows when something is wrong. Not because he is wiser, not because he is stronger, but because somewhere between the first time he holds his daughter and the first time he lets her walk alone, his heart learns to recognize danger before his mind does. That evening my heart was screaming. We were seated in a quiet restaurant near the edge of town. It was the kind of place that tried too hard to look expensive: crystal glasses, dim lighting, soft piano music that floated just above conversation. My daughter Aisha sat across from me, her fingers wrapped around a glass of water she hadn't touched. Her husband Daniel sat beside her. He was charming, polished, controlled. Too controlled. He laughed easily, but his eyes never joined in. He complimented the waiter, thanked him twice, and corrected Aisha gently when she forgot the name of a wine. "It's Merlot, sweetheart," he said with a soft smile. She nodded quickly. "Right, Merlot." It was small, almost invisible. But I saw the way her shoulders stiffened. I had seen that posture before years ago when she was 7 and had spilled orange juice on the carpet, waiting for me to get angry. I never did. But someone else in her life clearly did. Halfway through dinner, Daniel's phone buzzed. He glanced at the screen and stood immediately. "I need to take this," he said. "Work." Of course it was work, it was always work. He stepped outside, the restaurant door closing softly behind him. And that was when it happened. An elderly man who had been sitting alone at the table beside ours slowly rose. I had noticed him earlier: thin frame, gray hair combed carefully back, a simple brown coat that looked decades old but clean. He moved with hesitation, as if unsure of himself. Then he approached me. "Sir," he said quietly. His voice trembled, not from age but from urgency. Before I could respond, he pressed something into my hand. A folded napkin. "Read it when he comes back," he whispered, "but don't let him see." My chest tightened. "What is this?" I asked. But he was already stepping away, returning to his table as if nothing had happened. My palms felt damp. Across from me, Aisha frowned. "Dad, what's wrong?" I forced a smile. "Nothing, just dropped my fork." I slipped the napkin into my jacket pocket just as the door opened and Daniel returned. He looked calm. Too calm. The rest of dinner passed in a blur. I barely tasted the food. I barely heard the conversation. Every few seconds I felt the weight of that folded napkin like a stone against my chest. When the bill came, Daniel insisted on paying. "Family dinner," he said smoothly, "my treat." Outside, the night air was cool. We exchanged goodbyes in the parking lot. Daniel hugged me, firm grip, direct eye contact. "You worry too much," he said softly. "Aisha's safe with me." The words sent a chill through me. I hadn't said I was worried. I watched their car drive away. Then, under the streetlight, I pulled out the napkin. My hands shook as I unfolded it. 3 sentences were written in careful, uneven handwriting. "He watches her phone. He doesn't let her speak freely. I was married to a man like him. It gets worse. Get your daughter out, now." The world seemed to tilt. I read it again. And again. My first instinct was anger. Who was this stranger to interfere? What right did he have to make such accusations? But then my memory began replaying small moments. Aisha canceling visits at the last minute. Her laughing too loudly when Daniel made jokes at her expense. The way she glanced at him before answering even simple questions. And the bruises. 2 months ago, she had worn long sleeves in the middle of summer. "It's just fashion," she had said lightly. I had wanted to believe her. I drove home in silence, the note clenched in my fist. That night I didn't sleep. The next morning I called her. "Lunch?" I asked. She hesitated. I heard muffled movement on the other end, a door closing. "Sure," she said finally, "but just an hour." We met at a small cafe she used to love in college. Daniel wasn't there. She looked tired. Dark circles under her eyes, a forced brightness in her smile. "How are you really?" I asked. She stirred her coffee without drinking it. "I'm fine, Dad." I reached into my pocket and placed the folded napkin on the table between us. Her face drained of color. "Who gave you that?" So it was true. "Does it matter?" I asked quietly. Tears welled in her eyes instantly. "I didn't want you to know." My heart cracked. "Know what?" She swallowed hard. He checks my messages, all of them. He says it's about trust. Her voice shook. If I don't answer fast enough, he accuses me of hiding things. My hands curled into fists under the table. Has he hurt you? Silence. Then a whisper. Not like you think. That was not the reassurance she believed it was. He grabs my arms when he's angry, she continued. He says I provoke him, that I make him feel disrespected. I felt something dark rise inside me. Why didn't you tell me? She looked at me with the same eyes she had as a child, afraid of disappointing me. Because I chose him, she said. You warned me he was controlling, I didn't listen. This isn't about being right, I said, my voice breaking. It's about you being safe. She wiped her tears quickly. He's not always like that, she said automatically. That sentence. The most dangerous sentence in the world. Abuse rarely shows its face all at once. It seeps in quietly, disguised as love, as protection, as passion. We need a plan, I said firmly. Her head snapped up. Dad, if he finds out. He won't. We spent the next hour talking quietly. Important documents. A spare phone. A place to stay. She agreed to pack a small bag and keep it hidden. If things escalate, I said, you leave immediately and come to me, no explanations. She nodded. But fear lingered in her eyes. That evening I drove past their house. Lights were on in the living room. I saw their shadows through the curtains. His silhouette stood close to hers. Too close. 2 nights later my phone rang at 1:17 a.m. I answered on the first ring. Dad, she whispered. In the background I heard shouting. Not hers. His. He's angry, she breathed. He saw a call from you. Where are you? In the bedroom, the door's locked. Listen to me, I said, forcing calm into my voice. Take the bag, go out the window if you have to, I'm on my way. The drive felt endless. When I arrived, I saw her standing outside near the side yard, barefoot, clutching a small duffel bag. Her cheek was red. Daniel burst out the front door seconds later. Stay out of this, he shouted at me. I stepped between him and my daughter. She's leaving, I said evenly. You're overreacting, he snapped. This is a private matter. It stopped being private when you raised your hand to her. His jaw tightened. For a moment, I thought he might lunge at me. But then neighbors' porch lights flicked on. He stepped back. You'll regret this, he muttered. Maybe. But not as much as I would regret doing nothing. Aisha moved in with me that night. The weeks that followed were difficult. There were tears, doubt, guilt. He sent messages, apologies, promises, accusations. She blocked him. We filed reports, we documented everything. And slowly she began to breathe again. One afternoon, about a month later, I returned to the same restaurant. The elderly man sat in the same spot. I approached him this time. You saved my daughter, I said. He looked at me with gentle eyes. No, he replied softly, you did, I just recognized the signs. He told me his story then, about his late wife, about the years he didn't understand what was happening until it was too late. I promised myself, he said, if I ever saw it again I wouldn't stay silent. I reached across the table and gripped his hand. Thank you. As I walked out, I felt something I hadn't felt in weeks. Relief. Not because the danger was gone completely, but because silence had been broken. A father's instinct had been confirmed. And this time I had listened. Sometimes salvation doesn't come in loud warnings or dramatic rescues. Sometimes it comes in the quiet press of a folded napkin into your trembling hand. And the courage to believe what it says.